What's going on, everybody? It's your boy Pitts from Pitts and Push Sports Talk Radio, Pitt Sports Zone. We're here with another one. Tuesday chat. Coach Bernard Clark Jr. Through the eye of the tiger. What's going on, Coach?
Not much, man. How you doing this morning, Pitch?
I'm blessed, man. I can't complain. I'm blessed. I woke up this morning.
Absolutely. Always a good thing. Always a good thing.
So here we are. Bye's over. You know, um, got to rest and watch some football on Sunday. Well, at least did you try to rest and watch football on Sunday?
I did absolutely nothing on Sunday. I don't know if I watched football. I think I watched Harlem, Godfather of Harlem with my man Forrest Whitaker.
Forrest Whitaker.
I was flipping back and forth. I just like I was telling you, I don't know if I can watch a full game of football. Like I watch University of Miami. I'm always gonna watch them. That's the other team I tell people I root for. I root for two teams: the one that pay my bills and the University of Miami. Other than that, oh, I watched all of that game to check them out. But other than that, I kind of flipped through the channels on Sunday and Saturday.
Okay, so Saturday didn't really do much. Tout the day off.
That's it, man. Went and had some wings, like I told you. Went and relax a little bit, smoked a cigar, and just chill. That's all I did.
So here we are. Yesterday, practice was the first day of practice. Since we have it's back to usual. We got a game this Saturday against Tennessee Tech. So, how was the walkthrough yesterday? How was the preparation? How was the energy of the players?
Actually, I thought the energy was outstanding, to be totally honest with you. We practice at nighttime. You know that on Mondays. We practice at night at 7 o'clock. Thought the energy was great. I thought those 2 days off not only revived the coaches, but also revived our players. Our players seemed like they were more tuned in to what they needed to do and getting things going. Wow kind of jumped out a little bit when I came in with the wow and helping them understand, the wow this week is transition. Because we're making that transition from the season we just had, finishing up 2-5, into the season we're about to go into these last 4 games of the year, and putting our mind in the right place and making sure we're doing the right things on the field and transitioning from the meeting room to the field,
Yeah.
from the practice field to the game field. So we make sure all those transitions are in place.
And when we talk about the wow this week, last week our wow was priority, and the priority of basically doing your job, being where you are, uh, priority and taking the ability and the fortitude and the initiative to study preparation mentally to prepare physically.
Mm-hmm.
And with our transition, one thing I did want to ask you, Coach, how many seniors do you have on the team when we talk about transition?
But, it's weird you say that, because nowadays, in the days of COVID, you're not 100% sure how many seniors you actually have. So we have a lot of guys that may be in their 5th year or 4th year of school, but are they guys that won't be here next year? So to answer your question, probably got about 12 guys won't be here next year, but there's some other guys, probably about 10 guys that may come back and not come back. We may have them back. They may, so it's one of those situations where we may ask them to come back. They may ask us they don't want to come back. So it's one of those situations. We've got about 12 guys that are true seniors.
So you mean that COVID year, that extra year of COVID year?
Yeah, that was 2020. So basically, NCAA didn't count that year. So let's say a young man came in 2019. Well, 2020 didn't count. And then let's say he was redshirt in 2019. So technically, he didn't start school until 21, 22, 23,
Wow.
24. So he still has another year if he started
Right.
in 19. So it's a crazy situation. But once they get past the COVID babies, I guess that's what they call it. Once by the COVID years, then
Right.
got regular clock of the NCAA.
So when we talk about the energy of the guys yesterday, last night's practice, and the just the overall coming from a bye, from a standpoint of preparation from your leaders, have you seen anything different amongst your captains during this time during the bye week?
Well, they relaxed too. I mean, I talked to some of them and said, "Now, coach, we just kind of relaxed this week." But you could tell yesterday when they walked on the field, they took initiative in practice, getting guys lined up. Hey, let's get our heads right. Let's make sure we have a good day of practice. Make sure we're focusing. Make sure we make the transition we need to make in order to get this thing going.
So we can talk more in detail in regards to our wow within transition. And as you said, there's 4 more games left. Currently, you guys are sitting at 2-5 at the moment, and like you said, it's the second half of the season, which we can take this, go 6-5, end our season off on a strong note. How do you relay that message to your team in a way where it keeps them motivated week in week out, because and not looking at the end goal that we may not have the record to do what we wanted to do or what we set out to do, but to always still finish strong regardless of what it looks like.
Well, the whole thing goes back to what you and I talk about. Why are you playing this game to begin with? Are you playing this game to do your best? Are you playing this game to be mediocre? And so that's the thing that's important. The guys got to understand they're playing this game to do their best. So when we make this transition to these last 4 games, let's make sure we know what we're focused on. And we're going against an opponent with Tennessee Tech. They're pretty much at the same spot we're at. I was telling the guys yesterday, 2-5, we're 2-5. They're averaging 299 yards a game. We're averaging 331 yards a game. They're giving up 10 points a game. We're averaging 23 points a game. Defensively, they're giving up 300 some yards, and we're giving up 300 some yards. So as far as being evenly matched, we're evenly matched when it comes to that. The thing I'll tell you about this team, they know they're 2-5. They have one of the best defensive lines that I think we've faced this year so far. Their defensive line of nations, especially the interior guys. I'm not talking about just the first team guys, also the second team guys. And
Mm.
what they also have is they have uh, two outstanding running backs who are great players, who've done a great job, who gets after it and very strong and do a lot of good things. So this is a good football team that's kind of, teetering on going this way or going this way. We want to make sure when we hit this game and we make this transition, the other thing that's important is starting fast, not in the sense of starting fast as far as tempo goes, but
Right.
starting with a game plan. I guess I go back to, you look at my past week. For the past 2 weeks, Miami has a little couple of slip ups, losing to Georgia Tech, losing to North Carolina. Then they come back this week versus Clemson. And everybody's probably questioning what Mario was doing in the second half. He's slowing the ball down. They're running it too much. They're starting to fresh quarterback. Everybody had all these guesses, but they knew what they needed to do to win a football game.
Right.
And important. The thing for us is we have to start knowing what we need to do to win the football. And our seniors understand, coaches understand that. We're getting everybody else to buy into that situation, and our captains do. So everybody understands this is how we're going to win the game. Don't question the game plan. Let's
Right.
understand how we're going to win the game. We have to start fast with how we're going to win the game.
When you talk about the D line of Tennessee Tech and their personnel, and the backups, and the strength of the defense within the D line. And I believe last week we talked about the center possibly coming back this week.
Mm-hmm.
Talk about great timing. How is that coming along? Will it look like he'll be able to suit up this weekend?
It does. It does look like he'll be able to show up this weekend, and you can see the difference already. And I'm not saying the young man that played in his spot wasn't a good player. The young man that played in his spot was a good player. The problem is the young man that played in his spot was a redshirt freshman who had never played in a college game. This young man has been playing for the past 3 years. You know,
Okay.
we even though we redshirted, now and I know you can play 4 games and still get redshirted. So
Right.
he experience his first year here, coming in and playing those 4 games. He started all last year for us, and he started all this year. So it's been a situation where he has games under his belt. So you can see it when he walks in there. He starts making checks. Hey, that's the mic. Hey, that's the wheel. And guys know he's exactly what he's on, the point he's on, and where he's pointing to point out to. We got to get to this point, get to that point. He's doing a great job of doing that. And you can see how the guys are gelling together with him, and things coming along pretty good with him being.
And we talk about starting fast in regards to not as far as tempo, but more so just starting the game off on a fast note. When we talk about starting fast, then we also talk about some of the other things that have been an Achilles heel to the team, which was whether it's penalties or missed tackles. Has that How has that been? How has that the attitude, or how has the preparation, or even so much from you from a coach standpoint to your players? How has Have you seen the change in their attention to detail in regards to the offensive line, maybe hand placement, to where they may be getting caught a hold, or on the defense, whether it's the tackling their approach to it. Have you noticed any difference in your players in regards to those two areas?
Well, the biggest thing is our coaches. When it comes to those areas, your coaches come in to effect. When you talk about the offensive line, hand placement, that's something our offensive line coach, Rod Holder, has been on with them. Make sure not your hand placement, but it's also your feet. Make
Right.
sure your feet are where they need to be at, and you won't have to worry about the hand placement because the referee's not going to call the play as long as your feet are moving where they need to be at. When it comes
Right.
to tackles, we've been practicing out the yin yang on how we're going to tackle, taking the proper angle. It's not so much about making the tackle, it's more about taking the proper angle to put yourself in position to make the tackle. And those guys have done a great job of that for the past week when we had that bye week. That's something we worked on. Like I told you, all we worked on during the bye week was fundamentals and technique. We weren't really worried about tech at that time. Even though we were preparing for them, we were more preparing for ourselves and make sure we needed the things that we needed to do, doing the things that we needed to do in order to get where we want to be at. And I think we've done a good job of that as coaches, make sure guys understand. And the other thing is, haven't seen as many offsides in practice. It's a
Right.
situation worried about those setting us back. We get a first down. Next thing you know, we jump, and now it's 1st and 15. Well, that's what we also, when we're talking starting fast, that's what we mean. Let's slow the game down. Guys aren't thinking so much. So the coaches have done a great job of putting a minimal amount of plays in so we can execute them and execute them very, very well. That's what our guys have been doing a good job. You don't see a whole lot of offsides and a whole lot of illegal motion, illegal formation. All those things have subsided in practice. So let's hope we can carry them over and transition to the game.
So we also spoke about the last game you guys played, and Robinson was called for targeting,
Mm-hmm.
and he had to, of course, he was ejected the rest of the game.
Mm-hmm.
And I believe the rule is that they're also not eligible to play the first half, or whenever they were ejected, they have to miss that as well. So does that mean because you had the bye week, you didn't play a game? Does that mean he still has to miss this first half?
Absolutely. Yeah, he definitely had to miss first half. And I appealed it. Trust me, I appealed it because it was a situation where I didn't think he led with his head. The guy was getting ready to catch the ball. And as he was falling, I think he thought the ball was going to come out. So he went down to get at the ball. But at the last minute, he picked his head up, but his shoulder pad still hit the guy in the head. So they're saying because he was defensive, they still called it targeting. So couldn't get him back on the field. So he definitely has to sit out the first half.
And that's funny. That was going to be my next question: was can a coach appeal a
Yes.
player who has been ejected for targeting? And what is the likely? Have you seen a player? Have you seen that overturned?
Yeah, it happened with us probably about 3 years ago. We were playing against a team, LIU. We were playing against a team and went down Long Island University, and one of our guys got called with a targeting, and they reviewed it during the game, still said it was targeting, and then I appealed it, and went to the guy, and the guy that said it was targeting on that Saturday, he called me after he reviewed it and apologized. Coach, I totally apologize. Young man did not target him. He can play this week. Not an issue at all. So they overturned it, but we lost him. We lost it for the second half because they said it was a penalty. Now they overturned it. He was able to play, and he told me to apologize to the young man. But yeah, it's been done before.
But to apologize to the young man is one thing.
Yeah.
The impact of what you're doing of removing a player, obviously he's on the field for a reason. So when you take that player away,
Yeah.
I don't think um, an apology is sufficient because you reviewed it.
Mm-hmm.
Called. It's an automatic review play. So
Mm-hmm.
you reviewed it and you still stood by it.
Yeah.
So in that moment, it's like don't wait till after the game to now be like, I made the wrong call. I'm sure there got to be a protocol where they can be like, you know what, I think we got this wrong. Especially if the game is in the beginning of the game, that this player should not be ejected. I think it has to be a little bit more oversight when it comes to targeting. And I get they throw the flag on the error of caution, but also too, I think they have to be a little bit more realistic within the game.
Well, it was
Uh,
kind of it was weird to me when because watching the play, I'm like, he hit him in his chest with his shoulder. He didn't lower his head. I said, "You guys sure?" He said, "No, coach, we're 100% sure about this." I said, okay. And then that Monday I came back and appealed it, and the guy replayed. He called and said, "Coach, I apologize." He did not believe with targeting. Tell a young man I apologize and everything else. Now, again, the same thing on Saturday. It's weird you say that because at Brian, I told me and the referee were talking. I said, "Are you positive about this now?" He said, "Well, coach, you can appeal it." I said, "No, I don't appeal it. I want him to play right now." I said, either it's target or it's not target. I said, I
right.
can't feel anything. I said, we're about to lose this. I mean, this is one of our best receivers, about to lose him in the second half. And you're telling me, you know, he said, no, coach, they said it's target. I said, okay. And I came back and they stood by it. So it was a situation. But no, it's a situation where they have overturned it and let the young man play. So,
Sometimes I feel, in my opinion, sometimes I feel that when certain calls are made to for the integrity of the referees to make them feel like you're not criticizing or questioning their ability to call the game. Sometimes I feel that they stay with it just in regards because there are some targeting calls that I see called and I'm like, how? And I get it. They say they don't want you to hit them with the crown of the. You can't hit with the crown of your helmet. You can't hit in the above the head or neck area. And I just think that sometimes these rules are getting out of hand. Like, if a defensive lineman is rushing a quarterback and he goes to swat at the ball, but he makes contact with the neck and head area of the quarterback,
Right.
that's a personal foul, automatic 15 yards. I just don't agree with that.
Well, I'm with you because you and I'm a defensive guy big time. So whenever things, so like, even with the pass interference with me, sometimes it's ridiculous. I'm like, so how can you call holding on the DB, but you don't call holding on the offensive lineman when he's pulling the defensive end to the ground? So those things are subject. And I had a buddy, like I said, I had a buddy of mine say, when things don't go right for the defense, they adjust it. When they don't
Right.
go, they so they make sure, because and I know offenses put butts in the seats. That's what it boils down to. People want to see how games and get where you need to be at, and defenses, win championships. That's what it boils down to. If you keep people from scoring, that's how you win games. That's what it boils down to.
Do you have a check coach, one of those gentlemen like Sean McVay and them that help keep your composure when you're ready to go off on a referee?
Now, because I don't, I can pretty much, like I told you, I try to keep my composure more like Tony Dungy. So I'm more laid back. I know when I'm getting out of hand. I've only been a few times where I've just snapped on the referee because I just thought it was an absolute ridiculous call. And
Right.
the thing is, the biggest thing for me is because my voice is so loud and we're in smaller stadiums, everybody hears me. So it's one of those things like just to give you that I was actually wasn't in a small stadium. We're at Miami, Ohio, and I thought the referee made a horrible call, and I was literally yelling from one side of the field to the other, and I just kept going on and on and on and on. He threw a flag on me for unsportsmanlike. My wife freaked out. She was like, she came down at halftime. She's like, "Babe," I said, "Go back in the stands, babe. What are you talking?" Said, "Don't worry about it." I said, "I'm not gonna get ejected." I said, "I know how far I can go, whatever."
Oh
But
man.
now I pretty much monitor myself. Like I don't go on the field a whole lot. I'm not one of those coaches who has to be pulled back off the field because no, I'm not like that. I know how to keep my composure. Again, this is what I do. This is not who I am. So it's one of those situations you got to try to keep composure. And I'm a firm believer in however you act, that's how the player's gonna act. So if you're
Yeah.
coming on the field, back referees, that's how the player's gonna do. So I don't want those things to happen. I don't want assistant coaches talking to refs. I don't want players talking to refs. So I make it minimal when I'm talking to refs. I want to make sure that they're telling me what I need to hear, and then we're good.
When it comes to the wow, how does that apply to you, the coach? I know how it applies to the players, but how do you apply that to you in regards to transition? Is it more so just the message that you're relaying down to them, or does it apply to you in a way where it's like, okay, I can transition maybe thought process here. Does it ever play a personal role for you as well?
Absolutely. To be honest with you, that's probably how I come up with most of the wows is that it's most relating to me. Like I got to understand right now that 2-5 season that's gone.
Yeah,
I make the transition in my mind that we got 4 games left, and let's see if we can go 4-0. Starting out like you always say, let's go 1-0.
yeah.
Let's 1-0 and do that. So I got to make that transition to help those guys. Hey, that's over. Let's go ahead and concentrate on what we need to and make sure we're focused on winning the next game against Tennessee Tech.
And it's funny, I don't want to take credit for that. Let's go 1-0. That's something that I picked up from Coach Cal Jackson, head coach at Bowie State
Oh,
University.
I got you.
One of his things with not, for his team not looking ahead.
Mm,
We focus on what's ahead of us, not what's behind us, and not what's to come.
right.
So it's something that just stuck. Like, you know what? Yeah, let's go 1-0. Let's focus. So I definitely don't want to take credit for something that I didn't come up with.
I got
Regard when we talk about, because you said the wow isn't something that's predetermined, that's something that comes to you,
you.
you know
Mm-hmm.
before the week begins. Is it something that happens? Are you intentionally in the thought process to say, you know what do I want to focus on today, this week?
Mm-hmm.
How does that come about?
I'm intentionally in the thought process. So it's like as I'm about to start the week, usually probably like after the game on Saturday, my mind starts thinking, okay, what do we do well on Saturday? What do we not do well? What do we need to do? I may watch film. Like I may come up with one on Saturday, be like, okay, no, I didn't like that one. And so we got to go here with this. Because I may start out with like at one point I think I started out with lifestyle. I was like, that wouldn't really fit with what's going on, and then I got into okay transition because we're making a transition from the first half of the season to the second half of the season, or should I say the last 4 quarters of the season, and make sure we're staying focused there. So I started looking at the last 4 games, last 4 quarters. I started looking at the last game, 2-5's over. We got to see if we can go 1-0, continue to do that. Well, that's all a transition. Last week we had a priority going on. Let's see if we can take those priorities that we and let's transition them to the classroom. Let's transition them to the field. Let's transition to the game. So, every play matters, so each play, each game. So make sure we're doing that. But those are all transitions. Can
Right.
I, through what I went through, be upset about what happened and now make a transition of changing my mind and understanding, hey, that's light at the end of this tunnel. Let's go and see if we can get things going.
What is the focus for the next coming days in regards to practice pertaining to our wow?
Well, obviously, when it comes to transitioning, it's going to be about what I just said, being able to do what we feel very comfortable doing at a fast pace. Defensively, we're not going to try to do a whole lot. We're not going to do a whole lot because, like I told you before, we finished the last 2 games with redshirt freshmen playing at safety. So we got to figure out, okay, if the other guys aren't coming back, what do these guys do well? So we
Right.
got to that's the most important thing is figuring out on our team. And you do that all year long, but right now in the crucial stage, you start figuring out, okay, we don't do that too well. This is what we do well. So
Right.
making sure we're doing what we do well at a fast pace, so we can play fast without thinking. So that's the most important thing when we're talking about transitioning, making sure we're doing what we do.
And this week against Tennessee Tech, you talk about so they have two good running backs. They have a good interior D line. I want to focus on, even though Robinson's not playing, he's a spark.
Mm-hmm.
That's added piece when it comes to the second half.
Mm-hmm.
But in regards to the running backs, the running backs back committee, you guys are still averaging 330 yards a game despite the record.
Right.
So it's saying that there is success and we are successful. I just want to notate that in being successful, it's those things that, bring the success rate and makes it look lower than what it is. And we talked about the penalties and things of
Mm-hmm.
that nature. So when you have penalties, it takes you away from being able to put the points on the board that go along with the yardage that you guys are able to pick up. And, I think this week, I know it's always good to have fresh legs in a long season because the season is long regardless.
Right.
And, so looking forward to seeing how the guys bounce back to Tennessee Tech off the bat, seeing their energy, seeing how they respond, and just seeing how they contribute the wow into the transitional play of how they prepare, not just mentally, but then also transitioning it to their physical ability on the field and putting that package together. So I'm looking forward to it, Coach. Um, Bobby Moe is going to be jumping this week. I already know. Plus the temperature's going down, so you getting that real good Pittsburgh football now.
Yeah, that's what people tell me all the time. Hey man, it's football weather. You keep forgetting I'm from Florida. If it ain't 80 degrees, it ain't football weather to me. So
Listen, listen, you give me 3 degrees with a -2 wind chill factor with some snow. We
I
having a ball.
I hear you. Well, we got some Southern guys coming up, so let's see if this cold affects them in any kind of way that it can. But again, man, we're excited about it. Like you said, I'm ready to transition into these final games of the season. See if we can go 1-0, getting our mind set on the right place, getting our mind set in the right place, and making sure we're going forward and playing fast and playing together as a team. So let's go, Bobby Moe, and get this thing done.
Let's get it. You heard it here first. You heard it here from his mouth directly. Coach Bernard Clark Jr., head coach, Robert Morris University. It's going down every Tuesday, Thursday, and Saturday with your boy Pitts from Pitts and Push Sports Talk Radio, Pitts Sports Zone, Bowie TV. You can catch all these episodes pre-recorded live on Tuesdays and Thursday at 5:30 on Comcast Channel 77, Verizon Channel 11. Talk to you Thursday. Let's go, Bobby Moe.
Let's do it. Peace.